That's not a hood. It looks more like some garage doors or a kiosk from Soyuz Pechat. Now I understand why this bus was called Raketa. It's not envy, although is that too. Soviet vacuum cleaner. Raketa. Remember how it blew out buildings? It's the same thing here. What can I say? Fedor, I've seen this bus in photos, and what it has become now is two completely different things. You started restoring it in 2014, right?
Yes, we started in the fall of 2014 and finished around 2017, so it took about three and a half years.
Solid. And now you'll see the photos of what a wreck it was. By the way, it was a good bus. I'm just rambling. A 4-meter suitcase in the back. I'm always worried that I'll knock someone over when I turn. It's pretty wide, you know. I didn't catch them in real life, or I don't remember them from our roads. They disappeared in the early 80s. But in the photos, they called out to me. And so, essentially, a childhood dream has come true. Thanks to Retrobus and the passenger transport of the city of Leningrad. No one will argue with that. But the technology of the past, any of it, and buses in particular, look much more beautiful and elegant than our modern ones. They are different. They are works of art, even if they are quite mass-produced. Ikarus 55, a bright example of this. The Ikarus company was founded in 1895 as a blacksmith and carriage workshop. But that time was revolutionary for transportation. And those who understood the direction correctly won. Ikarus is building a factory for the production of buses for urban needs. This bus was made in Budapest, and then the production was moved to Székesfehérvár. That word even came from the idle speech apparatus in school, and everyone was talking about it. Székesfehérvár. All right, it doesn't matter. It was in this city that the Ikarus factory was built, and it was precisely because of this that I had to learn the name of this city. Can you believe it? In a year, 8,000 buses were supplied in the USSR. The new machine wasn't born right away. The bus embodied a philosophy that is still quite relevant today. The project work was led by the chief engineer of the company, Belozekovich. The distinctive feature of this bus is its monocoque body. For that time, which was the early 50s, it was a revolutionary solution. And there's no longitudinal frame here. Here we have a tangle of pipes and tubes, braces, and so on. It's like Eiffel Tower on its side. The Soviets pushed the Hungarians towards this solution. We were already fully using the ZIS-127 bus. Actually, we borrowed this idea from the Americans. Well, what's so special about that? Good ideas should be used. Next, the body and the wagon layout. From 1953 until the end of production in 1972, the appearance of the bus changed slightly. The headlights migrated from under the bumper along the front end. The shape of the bumpers has also changed, but the concept remains the same. A sleek, balanced-looking vehicle. It's 12. Yes, it's almost 12 meters long, with a rear overhang that's simply monumental. 3385 millimeters. 1385 millimeters. The stern visually looks like an extension to the bus, but there are good reasons for that. First, let's open it up. It's a whole ritual. Sorry, forgot. Sorry. By the way, the grills are fake. And here is the table. And ideally, on the table is the Cheppel D614 engine. In Hungary, the most reliable and proven engine in production was the Cheppel engine. The license for its production in Hungary was acquired from Steyr in 1949. It's an inline six-cylinder engine with a displacement of 8275 cubic centimeters. In our case, the power has already been increased to 145 horsepower at 2300 RPM. I didn't just mention the stop for no reason. The engine is mounted on a special U-shaped subframe. U-shaped subframe on slides. If you unscrew the bolts, you can pull out the entire engine along with the U-shaped subframe. And this is not a moonshine still. Another interesting technical solution that appeared after the start of production is the crest on the roof. The ridge in the air intake draws the flow into the radiator compartment. The heated air itself is discharged through the stern. Basic suspension leaf. It's not as fancy as, say, on our last buses. Leaf springs, shock absorbers. The only thing is that when loading the bus, rear suspension can handle 8.5 tons. The design of the rear axle also includes hub planetary gear reducers. There are also leaf spring shock absorbers at the front. All the axles hang over the leaf springs to lower the height of the vehicle. But it's still quite large, measuring 2800 millimeters. Before we go inside the cabin, I want to check out all the compartments under the bus. Why? I'm just curious, Fedya, what's here?
Just a hatch? The luggage compartment.
4 or 5 cubic meters.
Of course, just look over there. How far you can shoot.
Suitcases next, where bags stay.
Here too, accordingly. Luggage. Here we have the fuel tank. Notice that there's no hatch, so to fill the neck, you need to open the hatch.
A tight solution. 250 liters, right? Yes, 250.
That's enough for the trip.
And what's here?
Fill it up, cool it down.
And what's here? Batteries? Okay, a moment. And the weight? Yes, switches. 24, right? Yeah. Oh, the access. At one point, it probably just has a stopper like this. That's it. I don't think we should. Let's not. I want to point out that the Ikarus buses from Székesfehérvár made over 10 bus versions. Produced more than 10 modifications of buses. The differences were minor, but they did exist. For example, placement of the doors for passengers and their number. There could have been from 1 to 3, but over time, the overall appearance became simpler, losing creative elements. There are no windows on the top. Why? Because it's a bus from 1972, and that's the last year they made Ikarus buses. The ceiling is a bit low for me. So I'm just, complaining a bit. It's really nice under the hatches. The only thing that bothers me is the aisle between the seats. It's a bit narrow, but the space between the rows is just amazing. And the backrest tilts back. The armrest lifts up. Up top, there are luggage racks, little curtains, and hooks for clothes. The heating runs along the floor. But it's not just a bus, it's a fairy tale. Windows. In the summer, it will be comfortable here. It would have been once upon a time. And now it's winter in St. Petersburg. Caring for passengers was the top priority when designing the bus, which is why it only accommodates 31 people. Seating area. There's also a spot for the conductor or tour guide or the driver's friend. There was no air conditioning back then. The cabin was ventilated using hatches. But it's worth noting that the first air conditioners appeared on the 55 Ikarus buses, but we didn't get any of those here. The driver doesn't have his own little gate. He enters with everyone else, greets them, and is separated from them by a partition, curtain. What does the driver have at his disposal? Adjustable suspended seat. Coins to turn on the lights, all sorts of them are accessible.
It's all with the instruments.
Not pictograms for the pictorials, but pictures that are understandable. Canister, fuel, pump, air pressure, little watering can, oil, battery, tap. What does the tap represent? Water. Have you seen the clock? It's beautiful. So it's being produced, it's all simple. I turned on the mass, turned the key. And it started. Well, God's blessing.
Did he leave?
He left? The most comfortable spot in the Ikarus is at the back. It's noisy, but you can sleep on this bed. You know why it's needed. I enjoy the ride in turns. And do you know why this little shelf is needed? Oh, in the turns I enjoy the ride. And do you know what this little shelf is for? You'll never guess. It's a shelf for empty beer. Bottles.
Man, it's shaking here.
On the Yamahas, it throws you up. We can open the window, but we won't do that. A fully loaded bus weighs just under 13 tons. 13! But that doesn't affect the ease with which it sets off on its journey. To be honest, the diesel engine is quite noisy. And only when you're in motion do you understand why it was placed in the rear. The sound stays at the back and the exhaust gases hardly get into the cabin. The relative quiet in the cabin is also helped by the sound-absorbing material located between the cabin lining and the walls. And also the engine is actually separated by a partition, with glass indeed, by the way. Not only is the steering wheel itself not small, but there's also a power steering to help with it. And after driving for a while, you get used to the dimensions, to the little backpack at the back, to the way it moves, and to the turning radius, which is 10 meters. 10! But the Ikarus is to drive straight. The Ikarus knows how to drive straight. Speed 100 km/h, LUX 87 km/h, diesel 30 liters, 100 km/h. For example, the LUX has a speed of 87 km/h. The diesel consumption is within the labor norm at 30 liters per 100. And the brakes, they're brakes and very, well, you need to get used to them. They are dual circuit. This is safety. And what about the visibility? Comrades, a rocket is not a vacuum cleaner. The Ikarus is a rocket. Well, all right. The Ikarus is a cigar. The USSR was the main buyer of Hungarian buses. In second place is the GDR. Thanks to the factory in Hungary was considered the largest bus manufacturing enterprise in Europe. And what about today? I forgot the most important thing about this bus. A native, Leningrad. He worked at bus depot number 1 in the intercity column from 1972 to 1978. Maybe he drove little Vanya Zinkovich, let's say, to Lysinos, but it's unlikely. Old technology lacks modern conveniences and comfort. But I know for sure that there is a soul here. And I'm glad that thanks to the restorers, souls don't leave us.
And the move continues.